Okay, welcome to the Radnor Township Shade Tree Commission meeting for May 2009. The first item on the agenda is 11 Earls Lane. I think we've been informed that there is no representation here tonight for that, so we will move on to the next is 312 West Lancaster Avenue. Can you identify yourself?
Sure. Steve Schreiner, Schreiner Tree Care. And I guess I'm here on behalf of the Chili's restaurant.
What are you serving tonight?
Fajitas. There's a large box elder tree. I don't know if anybody's had a chance to go by and take a look at it. I did include some pictures showing the tree. The tree's been in decline for many years. It was topped, storm damage, all kinds of stuff happening to it, and it's deteriorated even further, and the manager of the restaurant expressed concern with some liability. A limb broke out, struck a car, and things of that nature. So it really is a tree that probably shouldn't have been there from the get-go. Under today's standards, we never would have been permitted, obviously, to pave up to the base of the tree. So they're asking, or they wanted us to cut the tree down, and I looked at it, and I think anything short of removal really didn't make a lot of sense given where the tree is, the amount of cars and people underneath that tree. So that's why I took the pictures and then spoke with Sue, and here we are here today.
Okay. Now it's obvious it's in decline and potentially hazardous. Is anything going back in its place?
Nothing's going back in its place. I think it wouldn't be the right spot for a tree to be reestablished there. And I think given the financial situation of the restaurant and of my very low bid, I don't think there's room in the budget. We need to sell more fajitas or something. But there really isn't, in all due respect, there really isn't, that is not a suitable location for another tree.
What is the size of the, the area around the trunk?
I want to say it's probably about a 6 to 8 foot. I don't have the exact measurement, but it's about 6 feet. I would say 6 by 8 foot area there.
Okay.
You know, and it's in the middle of the parking area.
Right.
So.
And what is their intention, to pave that?
Eventually, yeah. For now, it's going to eliminate the hazard, and that's all they can do. I'd rather see it, completed, but yeah. I'll speak out for myself. I'll let the others chime in, but it seems to me as though if it is that size and there's an opportunity to replant a tree, I mean, that's what we're trying to do all along Lancaster Avenue, is green that up and keep that tree canopy feel to the major corridor through Wayne. Again, I don't see any problem with taking it down, but might not be a bad idea to consider replanting. I mean, I can't. I mean, I think it's a great idea. I'd like to plant as many trees as we can.
Okay.
But I don't think that location really doesn't call for a tree. Out front, they have a beautiful big Zelkova tree out there. I can't speak to for the owner in regard to that matter. But I know in the back of the parking lot there are many mature trees, a number of pin oaks, like big ash and big maple, very mature trees that buffer Lenore Avenue folks back there. So this is a safety concern. It's not.
Yeah.
Hey,
no, it's obvious.
Tree out of here.
That's obvious.
It's
right.
And given today's standards, that tree wouldn't have even been tolerated by you folks to remain in that situation during the development situation.
Right.
So.
Any thoughts?
I've seen the tree's bad shape. I don't know what. I'm not sure what this site is there, Howard.
Okay.
As far as replanting, it's pretty tight, I think.
Okay. Alrighty, well, so far as the clearing permit aspect of it, you're clear to go, so.
Very well. Thank you.
And we'll take a look at whether or not, it's not always easy to put a tree back in where you just pulled one out anyway, but it's
Yeah.
just a thought.
Yeah, it's,
Okay,
yeah. We just planted some trees at the Willows, so,
good for
for
you.
the township, so, no, good for the township.
Yeah,
Not
that
good for
too.
me. Thanks, John.
Thanks, Steve. Okay, 101 Woods Lane.
Hi, good evening. My name's Dave Gaffney. I own Landscaping by Gaffney. We're residential landscape design build contractors. And I'm here representing Chris and Melissa Stoddard. And what they want to do, they have a difficult front yard. And, oh, thank you. They want to create like a front courtyard type look and feel to it. And they have a difficult access in and out of their garage and some parking space. It's like a real long entrance into the property. So they sit back into, they're the second house on the left there as you enter Woods Lane. So we're proposing on building a parking space in through here, and then installing a drain here, and then putting a pipe in this area here because they have an erosion issue where water comes off of surrounding properties in through this area and down the driveway and then in through this property here. And then they have a real difficult swale that just kind of doesn't manage the water very efficiently. And so the proposal is to put a drain box in here and an 8-inch pipe, and that green highlighted line would represent the pipe. And then we would store that in stormwater. The canopy is very thick and heavy. We're proposing on taking out 10 trees. They're all evergreen except for one cherry. The cherry's in the back. And the schedule to be removed would be the top box here. And there's, it's basically all white pines with one Norway spruce. And the trees that are highlighted in pink here would represent trees to be removed. So there's a pine here, a spruce here, a pine here, a pine, and a pine. These trees are alive. They're not dead, and they appear to be in okay condition. They're very elevated, basically, and everything like on the bottom 20 feet or so are basically kind of dead, with the exclusion of this tree here, where it's a little bit more of an open space closer to the house, is a 10-inch white pine, and it's not shaded by any sort of real existing canopy, surrounding by the other existing deciduous trees closer to the property line. These trees would be affected by the grading and the pipe installation. The proposal is to build a retaining wall and then raise this area here about 30 inches and kind of level this piece out, and then go with the existing grades through here, elevate the front yard, and then tie back to the existing swale elevation. There are quite a few existing trees through here, and basically there's an 18-inch pine here, a 14-inch pine here. There's a 22-inch poplar here, and then there's a 10-inch pine here and a 10-inch pine there. And then there's a large 32-inch oak and a 30-inch oak and an 8-inch elm, a 12-inch maple, 12-inch elm and like a 12-inch maple. So we're proposing on keeping all the grading away from the drip line, and this would be the safety fence through this heavy dark dashed line. And then the pipe is well outside the drip line of the canopy. And then the swale would basically be very, very close to center line of pipe. And we are proposing on taking out three trees here. One is maple. I'm sorry, one is a 10-inch white pine, which is very close to a wall that's failing. So the proposal on this side here would be to build a stone wall and replace the railroad tie wall. The wall will be about 30 inches in this area here, and then closer to 24 inches through this section here. And then these are very tall, elevated white pines, and there's two of them here with like the bottom 20 feet or so. There's nothing except for the trunk. And then there's a 18-inch cherry back here that's proposed for removal. And the concerns with this is the proximity to the house, and he's had it pruned and cleaned up, but it kind of drops. It's been dropping some deadwood he's been there about 3 years, and with his young child and the deck and the house, he's concerned about that large tree so close in. So he wants to take this tree out, and then there's a railroad tie wall around this. Take that out, and then eventually he wants to plant this Coosa dogwood and put a small stone wall to replace the railroad tie wall here. We're proposing on putting 20 trees in, and it's to kind of restore the buffer, add some privacy, and then add some color. Mostly evergreen. There's 7 Norway spruces, 5 cryptomerias, and 2 forest pansy redbuds, 1 serviceberry, 1 okami cherry, 3 green giant arborvitaes, and 1 crepe myrtle. Most of them will be going in. There'll be 2 redbuds here. There'll be a Yoshino cherry in this space. Crepe myrtle will be, we made 1 or 2 recommendation substitutions from this plan. They will end up being in this area. And then there'll be the evergreens to restore the buffer will be fitted in amongst this existing canopy. And then there'll be evergreens in amongst this existing canopy planted. And then evergreens planted in this space here that would be opened up with the removal of these 3 trees.
Okay. There's one tree that's kind of like due east of the house, and it appears in the canopy size to be a very large tree, but there's no identification of the tree nor what its diameter really is.
Yes, that one.
That is a beech tree. That is approximately a 18 to 24 inch beech. Our limit of disturbance is proposed right here at this sea beach bed. And this heavy line here would represent like a no work area and the tree safety fence barrier.
So you are doing construction within 16 feet of that tree's trunk, approximately, according to your scale.
From the trunk, yeah, approximately, yes.
And the size of the tree, say
18 to 24 inch.
Is there any way you can relocate that retention or that
Well,
infiltration pit?
we
But that's
have,
awfully close to,
there is, there's a possibility I can slide it, to the east. And,
How about turning it,
pardon me?
if you turned it?
We could run it perpendicular and turn it
Would that,
90 degrees, yeah.
would that make
That
any
would,
sense? Howard?
it gives the tree a little bit more breathing room, yeah.
That would be a good idea where we could, yeah, run it, perpendicular to where it's at now.
And hedge it, bring it away from that. You could actually bring it, tuck it in a little bit further. Bring it in and here, what are we going into here? It's a 12-inch maple. You have a little more room if you skated it down a little bit.
Mhm.
We just took this end and flipped it down here. Maybe. Keep it away from that beech tree, so that's really good.
Yeah, if you can somehow turn that 90 degrees, basically, and take it closer to your maple than to your beech.
Yeah, the maple's a 12-inch, a much smaller tree, much
Mhm.
smaller canopy. I think we can make that work.
Okay, then we typically have a protocol when you're messing around in the root zone, especially of beeches. They're very sensitive, but pre-fertilization prior to the project to give that beech an extra boost. Any roots that you might encounter from actually from either tree, that they should be hand cut. They should not simply be pulled out with a backhoe.
Okay. In general, or in the excavation of the seepage area?
No, whenever one encroaches a root zone as closely as you are, we always make those recommendations.
Okay.
I mean, you're on the edge already, but you're only affecting one portion of the tree, as opposed to sometimes we see it affecting the tree much more deeply than that, so.
Yeah.
I would recommend also that, in essence, the trees that are not identified by size and species, that you go ahead and identify them. And we require that of all plans.
So on the areas that we're not proposing any work, identify the trees on the property.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then these are off property, so those won't be needed to be identified then, just to be clear about that.
Technically speaking, we ask it, any tree within 10 feet of the property line
Okay.
should be identified by both species and size.
Okay.
That's what the ordinance requires.
One of the replacement trees is crepe myrtle, and not all crepe myrtles are hardy, and therefore they're not all trees. Some just die to the ground every year. What crepe myrtle are you planning to use?
I think it would be either, well, I've planted many crepe myrtles over the years, and we typically, suggest the hardy varieties. Either, indica maybe. I like some of the darker colored ones. The actual species. Dynamite's very
To-
nice.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Dynamite, it's a particular variety.
Okay, and is that one you found to be hardy here and stay as a tree?
Clump, multi-stem clump. I've had good
Okay.
luck with that.
Okay.
It overwintered this last winter. You know, I've experienced some losses with some ornamentals with this last winter we just had. But,
Mm-hmm.
not crepe myrtle, not that particular crepe myrtle, but other ornamentals.
Okay.
Anything else, Jim? Okay, very good. Well, if you would, again, show the revised location of your retention system, also your label and size the trees, and resubmit this to engineering.
Okay.
So in essence, you have a conditional approval,
Okay.
okay?
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, 705 Sprawl Road. How do you do? Could you identify yourself, please? And-
Yes, my name is James Higgins, and I'm the owner. I just had a house built at 705 Spruce Road,
Okay,
okay? And I really don't know where to start or how to start. This is my first time getting a house built,
okay,
and I didn't hear about this Shade Tree Commission. I heard my builder talk about it, but I thought that was something that he had to deal with and not me. He never said that I had to deal with it. I asked him one time about taking the trees down. He said he couldn't do it, but I could do it. Now, having said that, he hasn't been around in quite some time. This thing was pushed back because we didn't get our building permits. We put in for our building permits in November of '07. We didn't get our building permits till last year around August, so things got kind of pushed back. So we were desperate to get into the house because we were living right on Radcliffe House. We have a special needs child, and this is one of the reasons why we moved out here. We didn't come out here because we had money. We came out here because we just had enough money.
right. Now, I think we recall this particular review earlier, but go ahead.
Okay. I don't know anything about this, okay? Only thing I do know is I had questions about the driveway. We planned on having, in the city, since my son was born, we could never take him anywhere because nowhere was handicap accessible. So one of the things we planned on doing was having his friends come out. In the driveway, I didn't know about this driveway looking like this until they gave me this. I didn't talk to the builder. I was a little upset when one morning the paver came in and told me they were going to do the driveway, and I was really upset because I didn't know the driveway was looking like this. This is because I guess when they came in front of the Shade Tree Commission, that was the way it was drawn, which I did not know, okay? Now, he called me, I guess about a month ago, maybe a little more than that, and told me he was gonna come and rake and do the landscaping, plant the grass. This is why I called King Kiner to come and take the trees down, so when he came in, he could have everything smooth to plant the grass and do that. I had no idea that I couldn't cut down any trees. Had I known that I had to come here and do this, I would have gladly come and do it. But I didn't have any idea that I would have to go through this. The only other problem that I had was I was gonna cut about 3 trees away, but I need 1 tree removed to widen my driveway, because when he has his friends come up or people from school, they have handicapped vans and they have to get in and out in a big enough driveway to turn around and come out of there one way instead of backing out. So I need more of a driveway. Anyway, I want to do my yard in a way that my son has an area in the back where he could, I could put some swings in for him and his friends to come in, things for handicapped kids, right? Now, my wife and I we work, and we don't have a lot of money, so it's gonna take, this process is gonna take a long time, and we don't mind, replacing trees. We're not tree killers, you know. We had to eliminate some trees to get what we wanted done. The only other one I have a problem with is it's about a 60-foot pine. I imagine it's about 60 foot, and it's leaning towards my house. And it's right on the line, the party line, and I can't think of her name right there, it escapes me. The next door neighbor, she had a problem with that. That's how come all this started, you know, which was good because I didn't want to cut down any trees that I didn't have to do anyway. So, but this tree, one tree bothers me. And the only other tree bothers me is the one that I want to move to make my driveway wider a little bit this way. And all the trees that I'm removed before, I can move over this way. Like I said before, I don't have any problem replanting trees, but this is a situation I had no idea that I was getting into. Okay, so it's not going to be like I can sit down and make a plan and come to you, and I mean, whatever the commission says the trees have to be planted back there, I would have no problem with that, but it's not something I can sit down and do right now. It's gonna take me at least a year or two before I can get everything together to do what I need to do. Now, the builder has to put back in 22 trees.
For the ones that were originally planned to take out.
Right, right. And then I don't know how many trees. I think I took out some of the trees. It was a big tree that was really rotten. There was some that weren't even alive, a couple of them. Maybe I took down, they said 15. I think it would maybe have been 12 good trees, but it was only a couple that were big enough. The other ones were small. When I say big, small, I mean 6 inches, 7 inches, but you know, the other ones were a little bit bigger. Okay? Also, I don't know anything about gardening, so I was going to get some professional help as to how to do and do my gardening. I mean, I want a sharp-looking garden. I mean, yard. I don't want something that just. I look around, I see everybody's property. The yard is nicely sculpted. That's the way I like mine to be, also.
The tree company that removed them,
King kind of.
and your builder said that you could take the trees down.
He told me that he couldn't take any more down, but I could.
And who is your builder?
Chatford Home Builders in Westchester. In fact, it's in, where's the place that they had a prison out there for, not a prison, but for kids years ago?
Emeryville?
Huh?
Emeryville?
No, it's right up Westchester, out Westchester this way. His place is in Westchester, but his address is Glen Mills.
Okay.
Glen Mills.
Glen Mills. Okay. You know, technically speaking, we should know the size of those 15 extra trees that were removed.
Okay, they have them on here.
Okay.
I didn't take the stumps out yet. They can always be measured. I was in. I talked to King Connor this afternoon because they stopped work because they didn't have a permit. But since then, they got the permit, and they were going to come back in and grind up the stumps, but they hadn't yet. So what I can do is go back and measure and draw a little diagram as to how I don't know what kind they were. Maybe somebody can tell me, but I don't know.
The map that we have shows trees and it shows sizes, but it doesn't say what were taken down, as far as I can tell. And so I would think you would be able to come up with a list of what was taken down from this map because you know which ones have been taken down,
Yeah,
and that list, and so we would need that list of the names of the trees and the sizes, and from that gives a calculation of what the replacements are needed. Sue, do you have?
Well, they didn't get the permit, they weren't licensed, so I stopped them, I told them to stop, if you get licensed, which they did. But Dan said he would buy all the trees in that front area is barren, everyone that's on that thing. But they did come in and get licensed, so at least we got that.
Okay, but they did all this work without being licensed in the town.
is there any way that someone can tell what the trees were by looking at the stumps? No?
Sure.
They can get a good guess of it, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it seems to me as though, number one, your builder should hold some responsibility here, and number two, the tree firm should hold responsibility, because it sounds like they both spoke out of term and worked out of term.
Does my builder have the responsibility to tell me what I can do or what I can't do? I always assumed that when I came to get the plot plan, that all my restrictions would be on there. I mean, this is the first time I ever did that.
Yeah,
You know, that would tell me that what I could do, like if I had that was a trade tree commission, seemed like it would have a notice.
well,
that-
he knew that there's a shade tree commission, otherwise this plan would not have come before us previously. And he did what he was supposed to do. For him to recommend to you that you could take the rest of, you could take trees down, not he, was a misnomer. I mean,
I mean, that's when we first met with the builder, we gave him a permit to take some trees down. But we also made him live by our rules that he had to save these other trees due to the lot. It was a semi-wooded lot, and we wanted him to save some trees. We didn't want him to cut them all down. So he knew that these trees were to be preserved on the site, you know, after the house was sold. I mean, he would have known that because we made him save them to begin with. So
Okay.
with the protection, we made him, map is special just for us.
Okay.
So we know the trees were there. So he should have been able to tell you that you need to approach a township. And the tree contractor also should have been aware that in Radnor Township, we have a shade tree ordinance, and he can't cut more than 5 trees down at a time without getting a permit and going into the office to get checked out. You know? And I thought that maybe they would have stopped him from proceeding. Maybe the job was already done by the time.
it sounds like it was done before anybody knew about it. And then, what I'm interpreting is that your neighbor then raised the question?
Well, she didn't raise the question about the trees in the front.
Okay,
She raised the question when it came to do the trees down the side.
okay,
Then that's when she came out and called the township.
okay.
That's when they stopped them, and that's when I found out that it was that I couldn't cut down trees. I mean, I had heard about the shade tree commission because of the builder, but no one ever told me. I thought that was exclusively for the builder. And when I talked to them about it, they said that they couldn't. In other words, I wanted to remove some more trees, and they said that they couldn't do it, but probably I could do it. Now, whether they meant I could do 5 or 10, I mean, I don't know. But they said that they couldn't cut down anymore, that I probably could cut down.
So did they take these extra 15 trees out the same time they took the original ones out?
No.
They came back afterwards?
You mean King Kiner? Oh, no, they took these same 15 trees out. Oh, right. You mean before they built the house?
Yeah,
No, they took these down after the house.
after the house, okay,
King Kiner was not the contractor that originally took the trees down.
okay,
The builder got the first contractor, and then I got the second
Okay.
contractor.
I see. This is a very unusual situation. Again, by the ordinance, we'll need to know what trees were taken down, what size they were. And at that point, we can determine what the replacement formula quote is that should go back in.
Okay.
And then I'm going to need to chat with the township engineer and then try to resolve this, because this, again, this is a very unusual situation. And I don't know what teeth the township has with the company that came back in to do this second takedown effort. I don't know, I mean, in a sense, it's got some implications that I don't think any of us can sit here and resolve tonight. So I'm going to recommend that we table this until I have discussions with the township staff.
Okay. Well, I need to call a builder anyway, because I don't find out when he's coming out to grade the land and do the, but I need to get the King Kiner out to see if they can determine what trees, or what kind of trees they took down, and give me that on paper so I can keep it and bring it into you.
Right.
Okay. Now, about the other big pine tree, do I see someone about coming to determine, my concern about that tree is, first of all, from my estimation, it might be about 60 feet tall. Okay, and it's leaning, I would say, about 10, maybe 15 degrees towards my house. Now, would someone come out to evaluate that tree and see if it needs to be taken down or not? And what course of action would I have, it being on the party line?
What we need to identify is that, what that property line really is.
Okay.
And whether or not there isn't, I mean, and we've had this happen before in which there's quote unquote a shared responsibility. And if it's definitely to your side and, it is hazardous, well, then you report it, or we look at it and determine whether or not it is hazardous.
Okay.
And, but I would wait for that, if you can do that.
Oh, yeah.
Until we clear up all the rest of this.
Okay.
And we'll go from there.
Okay. They have the lot pins still there. And, maybe we can bring the pins up and run a strain to see just where that tree is. Okay? And we'll go from there.
Okay.
All right?
Very good, sir.
Okay.
And the township will get back to you with, a letter of explanation as to where we go from here.
Okay. One question. One more question. That's great. The builder said he was going to come out, and one part of his job is to come out and plant the grass. Okay. But in order for him to do that, I guess we got to get those stuff. If I identify the trees that are there and what they are, can we get the tree people to come in and grind the stubs out? Okay.
You said that they did get their license now, so,
License, but probably won't be able to get a permit until you and the township
resolve this, yeah. Okay. Right. Okay,
So we got to resolve this whole thing before they can come back in?
yeah.
Okay. In other words, the builder can't do the siding and whatnot? Okay.
No.
Any idea how long this is going to take?
Because that would involve a clearing permit too,
Right.
technically, so they would have to apply for another permit, which would go through quickly once
We,
everybody's on board with the same answer.
yeah,
Okay, I guess I waited this long, I can wait a little while longer.
okay.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. That's a question. Okay, other new business. happy to report that the spring tree planting along Lancaster Avenue, that initiative has been completed. We intended to plant 25 trees. I think 2 property owners denied having any trees planted, so out of the 25, 23 were planted with the generous support of Chanticleer Foundation and the Radnor Conservancy. And we are now taking a deep breath, and we'll be going to initiate another planting this fall. And I just want to publicly thank Bill Hagan and his crew in the success of the first leg of this planting. They worked very hard to make it happen. And we're looking forward to future enhancement of our major highways. With that, the next tree commission meeting is, I believe, June, is it 24th, 26th, something in there?
24th.
It's 24th. And if anybody has anything else for the good of the order? Okay, thank you and good night.